Allow me to introduce myself.
Man, they know how to cut trailers. They know how to cut films. They know how to talk, do dialogue. We are back with another Guy Ritchie creation. This is as I said earlier in this show, is that Guy Ritchie has certain accoutrements that are essential for something that he creates, and this TV show, they have really shoveled in tons of it. I mean, they backed up a mega truck. All right, back it up, baby. Beep, beep, beep. Dump it all. Like, it's just this whole, for once, he got 8 hours to just dump as much of himself into this creation. And it's going to be interesting to hear how I feel about it. But before we get into that, I would like Iris to give us her initial impressions when she saw that we were going to be like, yo, you got to watch this TV show.
So I actually had no thoughts about it, to be honest with you. I had no, I didn't even realize it was on Netflix. It hadn't passed my radar at all. And I love Guy Ritchie. I mean, I love all his work, you know. So when I found out, oh, this is by Guy Ritchie, oh, I'm probably going to enjoy this. But I didn't know what it was about because I didn't even watch the trailer for it. So I just went in there, you know, practically blindfolded, like, okay, let's just see what's going to happen.
Word.
Yeah.
Blind first date. All right, Dad Panther, where we at with it, player?
I was excited for the movie. Guy Ritchie, one of those directors, creators, where if we were focused on going to the movies and we weren't streaming, we would have probably went to theaters to watch something like this. So I want to say somewhat high expectations.
Word. What movie are you referring to, sir? This is a television show with 8 episodes. So would we go to the theater to watch all 8 episodes, or would we? Yes. Guy Ritchie would have been the first to do it. You would have showed up every 8 weeks to keep it going. Yo, that's actually not a bad idea. I would want to see somebody take that risk to put out 8 films back to back. No, not every 8 weeks. It's a little bit longer than 8 weeks on those. I probably would have gave up after the 3rd one or the 4th one. I mean, I probably would have. Yeah. All right, Eddie, where we at with a player?
I was very excited. Initial impression, especially knowing that Guy Ritchie was behind it. You know, I wasn't sure if it was going to connect directly with the film that came out or not. So I was really anticipating getting involved and seeing what we were going to get.
Got you. And yo, since I have not let Dad Panther lead off any reviews in a second, I would love for you to, sir, can you grace us with your ups and downs, highs and lows, ins and outs? You know what I mean? Use that gravitas and that gravelly olive oil voice of yours, sir, to bring greatness to the show. Go ahead.
Well, when you put it like that. No, watching this, the moment you press play, similar to a nice adult beverage, it just all comes together. The music, how every episode has that look, that like it's almost like after the first episode, you're curious how they're going to show you the title. What's the title going to be called? The fashion, every scene, like we've talked about shows like Murderers in the Building, where the background of the sets, the locations are just as important as the characters. The actors were I thought it was a great touch. There was not, to me as a casual person, there wasn't a name that was so flashy where I could just kind of lose focus. As I started to understand the characters and through this, I was like, oh, I like the brother, or I don't like the brother, or this, you know, and I felt like the consistency was smooth overall. The only low that I could really see was at certain points, it felt like a little longer than what was needed. The tempo kind of fluctuated, whether they were, you know, following Jimmy or certain characters, and they wanted to kind of give you that perspective. And each episode kind of had not a mind of its own, but you were trying to set up that big payoff towards the end.
No, agreed. Great review. Thank you. I'm going to take everything you said and I'm going to repeat it. So, Eddie Lingo, let's go, player.
Yeah. So for me, highs, everything that you love about Guy Ritchie, he managed to sprinkle in, as we mentioned before. You know, he gives you all the different versions, you know, from elegant gangsters to the most street, the most, you know, you got your travelers, gypsies, travelers, whatever you want to call them, but that Pike accent. You got your very sophisticated people that have the stomach for this life, and then you got your people in between, and everybody is kind of just a sophisticated gangster. And then some people are a little bit more rough around the edges than others, and that you get a mixture of everything. And then you get your just a multitude of characters. You get all of them, and in my opinion, there was never too much of one. So I love that balance going across the board. Very witty, though. The situation with as far as that he always puts in some kind of fisticuffs, whether it's legit boxing or bare knuckle boxing. I love how he made sure he put that in there. Certain people that you've seen over the years in all the Guy Ritchie films popped up, and I was waiting to see more, which is gonna kind of lead me to my lows. But then before I get on my lows, let me stick with the highs. Let me go ahead and say, as far as the episodes, for me, I love that everything had a problem, and then we just worked towards resolution. Nothing, in my opinion, lingered on. Every episode, whatever the issue was, we found a way to handle it, no matter how crazy it was. So for me, I actually appreciated that. Sometimes shows like to give you an issue, and it's just that becomes part of the overall arc, when really those issues are just a piece of the overall arc, and that's how this one was. So I thought it was very well written. We were given a lot. I love the lead character. Hadn't seen him in much since he was in that series with Shailene Woodley. But that movie series, which I just forgot the name, that's me being unprofessional. I apologize. But I was glad to see him, and I thought he was perfect for this role. I felt like he was believable as somebody that could have the stomach for this world while being very loyal to his family. And that's the last thing on my highs. His loyalty to his family was phenomenal, because if my brother acted like Freddie, considering how Freddie was the catalyst for most of the problems that they had to deal with.
Excuse me, most of the problems?
Some of them, some of the problems were him overthinking or acting without communication, and they had to work it. But most of the problems were from Freddie. You know, for me, if it was my brother, he wouldn't have made that long, but then it wouldn't have been a different series, or maybe not a series at all. So I understood why Freddie had to be around. But as far as my lows, not enough people died. That's just me. I was fully immersed. I am a gangster on. Every time somebody came on the screen, every time somebody came on the screen that I thought was gonna be a problem, I was telling my fiance, "Oh, this motherfucker's got to die." And then, of course, a lot of them didn't. And I was a little disappointed. That the second thing I was disappointed is I thought I was praying and hoping, even though I know there's a big ask, but just because it's Guy Ritchie and his connection with people, the person that was behind everything, I was hoping was going to be a big reveal, like somebody that you wouldn't expect to be on a Netflix series, like Jason Statham, Colin Farrell, or Idris Elba, or maybe even what's his name that played lead in Rock and Roll. I was hoping we were going to get some kind of surprise cameo from the Rolodex of Guy Ritchie, and we didn't. But that's just me personally. That didn't hurt the show. That's just a personal low for me. And one more high. Even though Guy Ritchie created this, he actually only wrote and directed 2 episodes out of the 8. So I love that he was able to create the universe and still share the wealth with the writers, because it for the most part felt pretty consistent Guy Ritchie all the way through. So that's another positive nod. And that's where I stand.
Thank you, sir. If you were to be in control of this project, it wouldn't have been called The Gentleman. It would have been called The Asshole. You know what I'm saying? One of the reasons why he was such a gentleman is that he could see past people's shortcomings and envision the best out of everybody and be thinking, you know, whatever. So anyway, I'm gonna let Iris clean sweep this thing from the end, unless you need to go before me, ma'am. Are you cool? All right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you can come be the OG of this shit. So anyway, from my perspective, this film, excuse me, I'm sorry, Dad Panther, TV show. This TV show is monumentally fire. And the reason why it's monumentally fire is because as a dumb regular consumer that I am, I was scared damn near every episode. When you could have me biting my nails and you got me, look at the fuck is he going to do? How are we going to get out of this? Like I literally spent majority of this show talking to the screen. Oh, fuck you, idiot. You know, what are you doing? And oh my God, like I really loved the tension But like, if this isn't dark, I would like to reiterate, this is not a dark show. This is really bright. It's actually very funny. It's very witty, but it has these even in the darkest moments, there are these little tidbits of funny little moments to make you laugh. They don't dwell on like blowing somebody's head off and blood being, you know what I mean? It's not that type of show. It has great pacing in certain areas and it drags in others. I would have to agree with Dad Panther. I'm not going to say a lot of it, but there's a good portion that could have been cut. But I feel like they only had 6 episodes worth of story and they just stretched it to get 8. That's just my personal opinion. Because some of there's like 1 or 2 episodes where I was like, you really dragged this little 20-minute story out to an hour. This is crazy. But anyway, I still loved being in that world. So even though the episode may not have been giving me a whole lot, I was still loving the dialogue, loving the interactions, loving the costumes, loving the settings. So I would say also that the way they brought you in, you know, this one step at a time, like you don't know what to expect, you know, but things go kind of by the numbers in the first episode. And then like literally the second episode's the wheels fall off of this whole goddamn thing. And these situations are so serious, you don't know how you're gonna. And I think that's what makes this so great. The situations are so dire because the main character, I mean, he rich, but he ain't rich. The point they're trying to say is, yo, you got enough to really kind of maintain what you have, but what you have is gonna fall apart eventually. They don't, and he ain't got it. You know, the family ain't got it. So he's kind of trying to figure things out because it's a fish out of water story. It's a man in a desperate situation story. It's a coming of age story. I mean, there's so many different little elements that you could place the main character in, and I thought that was very beautiful. And even like his supporting cast, them having all of their completely different like characteristics, and I think it just all played together so beautifully. The retarded brother is traits. I mean, he keeps messing stuff up so perfectly. I scream at him almost every time he's on the screen. I could take a baseball bat to his forehead. And then the young lady that's kind of like the in charge of the organization that the lead character has to partner up with. She is so. She explains even stuff like Eddie's like saying there should be more killing. Guess what? She explains that. Hey man, blood is bad for business. We just trying to make our money, trying to stay under the radar. She explains, they really skillfully explain away a lot of stuff. Like why this doesn't spiral out of control a lot faster is because common sense. You know what I mean? I love how these aristocrats get caught up into these situations. They think they smart, but they really not, you know, and it's like, man, this is a great show. So anyway, I think I've said enough, and please allow the queen to tell us where we all went wrong and clean this whole thing up.
Oh, no, not at all. I really loved Theo James as this character. Like, I feel like he carried it so well, so smoothly. And even though in the very first episode, when he realizes all the bullshit he's about to inherit, deep down inside, he secretly loves it.
Deep down
and
inside,
he wants to fight. No, I mean, just like he tries to fight all the bullshit. Like, oh, I don't want my family involved in this. I just want to go legit. Blah 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 blah. Bullshit. You like it. You like the drama. You like being a boss. You like the managing of everything and slinging the weed. Okay? Ain't no normal human being gonna be okay with shooting a motherfucker in the head and like not freaking puking if someone gets cut up in pieces in front of you. He took that shit like, oh, okay, well, it happened. Let's keep going. What do we do next? Like it is just the way he just handles everything beautifully. And even the woman character, their the way they connect, just they blend so well together. So well together. They're so calculated. And I love it. I loved the entire series. And if Freddie died, I wouldn't have cared because
Mm,
I love them. I
mm,
just
mm,
love their dynamic
mm,
and I just love how eventually he stops um Eddie's character stops being in denial of like, no, I don't want this. Fuck. Yes, I do. I do want this. I want to be a part of this life. And to be honest with you, with him being in the military, it kind of in a way foreshadowed that because there you are in a calculated government group. You're basically the leadership supervisor of this crew. Yes, it's legit because your job is to, hey, check the paperwork, keep shit straight, make sure there ain't no violence, passing at the border or the bridge or wherever the people were going through, you know? And so you could already tell he's like that structure of being able to like lead something, be in charge of something, handle business. But being in the military, you can't express that more dark, violent side of it, unless you go to war. But, where he was at, it wasn't war. You're fucking checking people's papers. So finding out, okay, this is all the stuff that's going to be going on in my life after having to take this title, he was able to like really be himself whether he likes it or not. And out of every stupid thing that comes out of his brother's mouth, the only smart thing that Freddie says in the entire series is that you're made for this life. You love it. And let me tell you, I think the only low I'd have to say that I had for this series is that even though I like Jimmy's character, like there were plenty of times that I would have just shot him in the head. Like, Jimmy, I love you, but you're fucking my shit up. All right. And then we cut them pieces up and we make you into compost for the weed plant. Like, because I was just like, it's his mouth that was pissing me off. Like, Freddie was pissing me off, but Jimmy was pissing me off so much too. I was like, what the hell, Jimmy? So I would have to say Jimmy was part of my lows. But the series itself, I loved it, and I cannot wait until season 2 comes out because I want to see how they move forward in this life that he's decided to keep being involved with. Now, Eddie, it looked like you were about to say something. Please don't tell me this was a limited series and that was it. That's all we get because I'm gonna be really fucking pissed.
I actually have no insight on that at all. I just wanted to before we moved on to the next segment, I wanted you guys to know I did have something else I want to throw back out there. So when you're done, you just let me know.
Okay. No, I'm done. I love the series. I cannot wait. I'm going to continue watching it, and I want to see how his character progresses. Because even though the series was like it was very like still bright, it wasn't super dark, but I want to see if at any point they do bring in a little bit of darkness.
More dead bodies. Let's go, Iris.
Especially in his character. I'm ready. I'll be right there with him. I'll be like, who you need shot? Let's go.
I do want to point out, she mentioned the chemistry between the two, and I love and respect that it didn't cross that line, even though we were all expecting it to. So I love that they were able to keep that respect, boss energy, a little flirtatious, but they never took it there. And I thought that was great writing. We talked about that Jamie Foxx movie that we reviewed.
They
You gotta
Wait,
fuck the princess first.
No. He didn't.
did I miss
Think
something?
back. Think back.
Did I miss something?
Yeah,
There
because
was
I'm
a
like, when did they?
there was an agreement that came together that required the intake of a lot of liquids, and then subsequently an event happened, and then the next day there were flashbacks.
You're talking about the gypsy?
Oh,
I remember the
no, they're
gypsy party.
travelers. They're not gypsies. They're travelers.
I'm sorry, the
They're
travelers.
Irish.
Yeah. And did I miss? Did they have a moment? I missed it.
Go back and watch it.
All
I'm
right.
not-
I
I don't
think
want
they
I
kind
missed
of
it
like.
then.
I think they kind of like implied something may have, but she woke up somewhere else and he woke up in another.
That's what I was thinking.
But I mean, they didn't really deep dive, so I didn't really stress it because they didn't even fucking remember it. So
Well,
like, barely.
until I go back and see that, I still respect the fact that they told the lie.
Yeah, I think for the most part
And
they
even
held the
after the fact,
line.
they told the line. They didn't even try to figure it out. They
Yeah.
last name was last night. Fuck it. You know, I
Yeah.
definitely respect that. Definitely.
Mhm.
All right.
You guys are.
Are we ready to move on?
Mhm.
All right. Now, I apologize. In our historical review of The Man from U.N.C.L.E., we did not do the honorary review. So let's finish this first, and then we'll go to My Man from U.N.C.L.E. So The Gentleman TV series, 8 wonderful episodes. We all agree. So where are we rating this thing, man? Is it a classic? Is it a good watch? Is it catch on streaming? Is it not doing it for me? Is it? Oh, hell no. Or if you ever show me this ever again, I will slap you. So I am going to start with the Queen Iris. Are we slapping somebody, baby, or is this a classic? Where are we going with it?
I'm putting it as a classic Guy Ritchie, and I think it's gonna age beautifully like a fine wine.
I love your liquor references. All right, Dad Panther, what are we doing, boss? Are we going to crown this a classic, or are we laying hands? What are we doing?
I'm gonna say it's a good watch. It's a good watch. I mean, where you have the guys from the gospel in there, and how they put together him reading from the Bible as there's more bodies hitting the floor, was smooth, and that anticipation of what's going on. The scene where the brother again is supposed to just not even be there, but he's there. Stay in the car. Just stay in the car, and you're watching him pull this off, only for the brother to fuck it up again. And I think everybody was like, what the so to have those moments for 8 episodes, you wanted more. It hopes you get renewed for a second season for Netflix, but I would say a good watch.
My question would be, what would have to happen for it to become a classic for you? What was missing? Nudity?
I wouldn't say nudity, but I think I would go with some of the stuff that Eddie was pointing out. Like, I would have liked to see more killing, not to the sense of Kill Bill where the gore comes in, but to see more of that. I would have loved to see callbacks from Guy Ritchie, and even people that might not have been in the universe, but like the what ifs that could have played even in those montages of being, hitman type stuff. So I think the roles were there. I think they put an ending that kind of gave for more. But like you said, there's seeing like the situation with Jimmy. Like, I mean, I get he smokes weed, but it's to that point where maybe Jimmy liked to watch One Love, and he's that type of guy. Maybe that's him. But to get pulled over and taken advantage of multiple times throughout the second half of the season, I was done with it. So there were some flaws that were in it that unfortunately it didn't stick the landing, but a good performance nonetheless.
I respect that. Eddie, my guy, my compadre, what are we doing? Is it a classic good watch catch on streaming? Not doing for me? Oh, hell no. Or are we slapping somebody, boss? Which one are we doing?
I am going to give this one a classic. I loved it.
Ooh. My man. I am also dubbing this a classic. And let me tell you why. I have a creative theory. And my theory, I feel like this TV show is the prerequisite for the movie that has our guy that drives the Lincoln. What's his name? What the fuck is that?
Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey. This is a young Matthew McConaughey becoming the man he would be in the future defending his territory. That is my theory, sir, and I will stand on it. I highly recommend this movie. Excuse me. Sorry, Dad Panther. I apologize. I highly recommend this TV show for everybody. Tell the whole family to sit down and watch it together and be in love.